Today we're going to be looking at how to solve one-step division equations with negatives. We have a couple of examples that we're going to work through together here, so let's get started. For question number 1, we're being asked to solve for the value of n in the problem n divided by 3 equals negative 13. So in order for us to isolate for a variable of n here, as we can see up top highlighted in yellow, we're going to need to perform the inverse or the opposite operation of whatever is being done to our variable. And in question number 1, we can see that our variable is being divided by 3, and the inverse operation of division is multiplication. So on the left-hand side of this problem, we're going to be multiplying by 3 so we can isolate for a variable of n. But this brings up a very important point that we can see up top highlighted in blue, which is that we need to keep both sides equal. So since we're multiplying the left-hand side of this equation by 3, we need to do the same thing to the right side of this equation as well. Starting out with the left-hand side, well, multiplying by 3 and dividing by 3 cancel each other out, so now our variable of n is isolated. And then for the right-hand side here, we're going to be multiplying negative 13 times 3. And since we're multiplying a negative by a positive, it means that we're going to get a negative product. So when we multiply negative 13 times 3, we get negative 39. So n is equal to negative 39. And if we want to double check just to make sure that we have the correct answer here, we're simply going to plug in our value for n in our original problem. So we have negative 39 being divided by 3 equals negative 13. And when we divide negative 39 by 3, since we're dividing a negative by a positive, we're going to get a negative quotient. And when we divide our negative 39 by 3, we get negative 13. And then since both sides of this equation are equal, it means that we have the correct answer. N is equal to negative 39. Now moving on to question number 2, where this time we're being asked to solve for the value of r in the problem r divided by negative 4 equals 8. So just like with our first problem, in order for us to isolate our variable of r, we're going to need to perform the inverse operation of whatever's being done to our variable. And here our variable of r is being divided by negative 4, and the inverse operation of division is multiplication. So on the left-hand side of this problem, we're going to be multiplying by negative 4, and we need to keep both sides equal. So we're also going to be multiplying the right-hand side of our equation by negative 4 as well. Starting out with the left-hand side here, while multiplying by negative 4 and dividing by negative 4 cancel each other out. So now our variable of r is isolated. And then for the right-hand side here, we're going to be multiplying 8 times negative 4. And since we're multiplying a positive by a negative, it means we're going to get a negative product. So when we multiply 8 times negative 4, we get negative 32. So r is equal to negative 32. And if we want to double check just to make sure that we got the correct answer here, we're going to plug in our value for r in our original problem. So we have negative 32 being divided by negative 4 equals 8. On the left-hand side here, since we're dividing a negative by a negative, we're going to get a positive quotient. So when we divide negative 32 by negative 4, we're going to get a positive 8. And then since both sides of this equation are equal, it means that we have the correct answer. R is equal to negative 32. And if you're unsure of why it is that some of our answers are positive and some of our answers are negative when we've been working with negative numbers, I encourage you to pause this video and take a look at some of the video links in the description below where we go over dividing positive and negative integers in a lot more detail. So hopefully by now you understand how to solve one-step division equations with negatives. Help make math less complicated by smashing those like and subscribe buttons. As always, enjoy today's math journey.